All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to follow a true hero's journey, one that's happening 24/7, right under our feet. We're diving deep into the hidden world of engineering and biology that completely transforms our wastewater.
You ever stop and think about it? When you flush the toilet, or water goes down the drain, where does it all go? Well, the answer reveals one of the most important systems for public health in our modern world. So let's follow that water on its incredible journey.
Okay, so it all starts the second you flush or wash your hands. All that water immediately enters this huge, complex network of sewer pipes that are hidden right under our cities. And look, this system is about so much more than just, getting rid of waste. It's designed to pull out all the harmful stuff before that water goes back into nature. Seriously, without this step, our rivers and lakes would just be overwhelmed with pollution. It would be a disaster for ecosystems and for our own health.
So before we can even get to the microscopic bad guys, the water has to run this physical gauntlet. This first stage is all about brute force, just removing the big stuff, the things you can actually see.
It's actually a pretty logical step-by-step process, right? First, these massive bar screens act like a giant rake, catching all the big trash. Then, they slow the water's flow way down in what's called a grit chamber. And this is so important. It lets heavy stuff like sand and gravel sink to the bottom so it doesn't chew up all the expensive pumps later on. And then, in this big settling tank, something cool happens. Everything separates into these two layers. You've got the lighter stuff, like grease and oil, floating to the top as scum, which gets skimmed off. And then, the heavier solids sink to the bottom as primary sludge. Once both of those are gone, the water in the middle is way clearer, but its journey is far from over.
Okay, so the water looks a lot better, but don't be fooled. It's still packed with all this dissolved organic waste. To handle these invisible pollutants, the plant calls in a tiny army of helpers. This is where biology really takes over.
And I love this quote because it's the perfect way to think about this next stage, the biological treatment. The whole point is to create the perfect environment for helpful microbes to just go to town and eat all the pollution that's left in the water.
So how do they even measure how dirty the water is? Well, they use this score called BOD, or biochemical oxygen demand. The easiest way to think about it is this. The more pollution there is, the more oxygen our little microbe army is going to need to eat it all. So a high BOD score means really polluted water.
And that is the whole game right here. This chart says it all. The mission of secondary treatment is to take water with that super high BOD score and by the end, bring that score way, way down. That's how you know the organic pollutants are gone.
So meet the MVPs of this whole operation, aerobic bacteria. These little guys are already in the wastewater naturally. They're the engines of this entire stage. Our job is just to give them exactly what they need to grow and do their thing. Food, which is the waste, and a ton of oxygen.
Now, here's where the magic really happens. As these bacteria are just feasting away and multiplying, they don't just float around by themselves. They start clumping together into these bigger, heavier masses called flocs. And this is the absolute key to the whole process, because a single bacterium is way too light to sink, but a heavy floc, that can be easily removed.
Okay, so let's walk through how this works. The water flows into a huge aeration tank, and you've got these compressors just constantly bubbling air through it, creating that perfect oxygen-rich environment. The bacteria go crazy, forming those heavy flocs. Then, that whole mix flows into a nice, quiet settling tank, where those flocs sink to the bottom, leaving much cleaner water on top. All right, at this point, the water is way cleaner. Like 85% of the organic junk is gone. But in cleaning the water, we've created a whole new byproduct. Tons and tons of that settled microbial gunk, which is called activated sludge.
So what do we do with all this stuff? Just dump it? No way! This is where the whole process gets really, really clever. This sludge, which is just teeming with live active microbes, is actually an incredibly valuable resource. It gets to go on its own little side quest.
And this is where it gets really smart. It's a perfect circular system. They take a bit of that sludge and send it right back to the beginning of the aeration tank to supercharge the next batch of water. The rest goes into a big sealed tank called a digester, where a different kind of bacteria, ones that don't need oxygen, take over. They break down the sludge and produce two amazing resources: biogas, which can help power the plant, and biosolids, which can be used as fertilizer. It's literally turning waste into energy.
We are so close. The water is super clean, but we're not done yet. There is one last absolutely critical step to make sure it's completely safe before it goes back out into the world.
This final polish is all about zapping any nasty pathogens that might have survived. A lot of plants use chlorine, but some use really powerful UV light to basically scramble the DNA of any viruses so they can't reproduce. Others even use ozone to destroy them. After this final safety check, the water's heroic journey is finally complete, and it can be safely returned to a river or the ocean.
And you might be wondering, just how clean can they get this water? Well, get this. With even more advanced steps, they can purify this same water to a level that is perfectly safe to drink. That's right, they can complete the circle all the way from toilet to tap. So think about that. From a simple flush of a toilet, all the way through this incredible, complex journey involving giant rakes, a buffet for microbes, and even creating renewable energy. So the next time you turn on the tap, maybe you'll remember this amazing, unseen journey, a true hero's journey that water takes every single day to keep our world healthy and clean.